On this episode, everything will be all right, my friend. We are your ska community support group as we celebrate the beautiful world of the Bruce Lee Band. Don't sit next to me just because I host Checkered Past the Ska'dcast.
Oh, way, oh, what the fuck you doing with your life these days? Oh, way, oh, what the fuck you doing with yourself? Oh, way, oh, what the fuck you doing with your life these days? Oh, way, oh, what the fuck you doing with yourself?
What up, Checkerheads? Welcome to Checkered Past the Ska'dcast with Celine and Rob, the show where Dr. D. Mento and a weird gal Skankovic explore the history and impact of a different band each episode and hope to bring in new fans along the way. I'm Rob, and this is my sister and co-host.
Weird gal.
Yeah, weird gal and her weird pal.
Yeah. I often make up my own parody songs to popular music, and then I always say it's like by Weird Gal. So, I mean, I am Weird Gal, and sometimes my weird pal will come in on it, and that's whoever wants to take it on my parody song.
And so give us an example of a great Weird Gal classic.
Oh my God. Definitely cannot think of one on the spot. It's got to be in the moment. It's usually when a song is playing. It's usually about my dogs.
Okay, so...
It's usually about my dogs.
Okay, so
obviously.
Total Eclipse of the Heart.
Turn this dog. Every now and then you're a little puppy and I kiss you on the head. Turn this dog. Every now and then I get a little bit softy when I'm just a cutie dog.
You know what? Respect.
Turn around.
Yeah. It can just keep going.
Soft dog.
I winced. Whenever we drop a beat, we have to pick it up where we left off.
Pick it up, where we left off. Pick it up, where we left off.
Hey, Celine.
Hi.
What's new with you?
Yeah, just the salon opening stuff continues, I suppose. But there's kind of more. Things are in a limbo, but that's okay. But it's a positive limbo. It's just like everything with COVID, like our funding and stuff is, there's just lots of learning lessons. But my charisma has gotten me pretty far. So I'm like getting some favors. Also, yeah, it's going okay. I guess I can't really. I was going to say a bunch of details I shouldn't say publicly.
I believe Arianne, editor extraordinary Arianne, said that you get by on charisma.
Yeah, it's the only thing that's gotten me thus far.
So when are you opening? Do you know yet, or are you still?
I guess it would be springtime at some point. I have also been getting into Dorian Electra.
Okay, yes.
Yeah, I'm all in on Dorian Electra as far as music goes. I've been watching Tampa Baes. Tampa Baes.
Oh.
It's a lesbian reality show on Amazon, and it's awesome. It's great.
Yeah.
It's like a lesbian it crowd in Tampa Bay, Florida, and the drama that follows suit in their friend group. It's great.
I just don't love Bay.
Yeah, Tampa Baes.
I don't love BAE.
Tampa Baes. Tampa Baes. Tampa Bay.
I don't know if I have like anything that's like worth mentioning in my life.
Pokemon Shining Pearl.
Oh yeah.
Oh, and I saw Dune last night.
Okay, and
it was scary. It was good, but it was
scary.
really scary. I was not prepared for how scary. Like, thank God I was watching it with my friend Cody, because that would have been. It's just so depressing. They have nothing to live for. Like, as was the first movie, there's nothing positive. There's no reason to be alive in that world. I guess other than to be alive. But
man, it really affected you.
It really, it was so dark and desolate.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Right?
And yeah, we saw the new Ghostbusters, and it was very nice. It was very, very nice.
That was much more
cried.
pleasant.
So you have nothing? You have nothing interesting to add at all?
About I think I had something, and then for some reason today I'm just like thinking through my Rolodex of things that I've done recently, and nothing is exciting.
Boring.
Yeah, I don't know. I've been playing board games.
That's fine. That's not boring.
You know what? We were watching the Watchmen TV show from a couple years ago.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, we got back on that. Arianne flew to Toronto to do some conference with her union. And when she
my
was
wife.
my wife,
My wife.
went to Toronto and decided that she's going to watch like most of The Watchmen.
That's fun.
And we tried to watch it before, but she was skeptical. And now she watched it by herself. This is classic. Decided that after watching it by herself, it is good. So
That's fair. Your opinion sucks.
I know. I've been told.
No. I do the same thing. I think it's just a couple thing. Like if the other person likes it, you're like, that's stupid. Which I guess you should just love your partner and enjoy things together. But that's not how it's been in my experience.
You know what I really liked recently? I'm just totally pivoting off topic here. Is the new 100 Gex is amazing. No,
Sigh. I'm
So good.
in on Dorian Electra, and I can't get in on 100 Gex. It makes me, for someone with like a lot of anxiety, it's too stressful to listen to. I never know what sound is coming. I'm always like, and like when do you listen to it? What circumstance? Like maybe exercise.
yeah,
Even then, you wouldn't be able to get into a flow.
yeah, no, it's chaos.
It's chaos.
I mean, that's why I like it.
It's like, yeah.
I breed chaos.
Yeah. Anyways.
Well, now we're really thrilled to introduce our guests. Let's stop wasting their time and get them on the pod here.
We're like a licorice flavored gum.
What about it? Okay,
thrill.
so no wait. Oh yeah, okay.
Thrills. Or it's soap, I guess. Soapy flavored gum.
Oh boy. Oh boy, Celine. They're the songwriters and vocalists of the Buffalo ska and soul group The Abruptors. Their album Love and Other Disasters is available right now through Asian Man Records. We have Mike and Toni here. Hi.
Hi.
guys.
Hey, how's it going?
Good.
We're good.
The part before this is going to get cut, but we had slight technical difficulties where I felt like I was screaming into the abyss.
It was good. He was sweaty.
I still am.
His eyebrow is
into the
still.
void.
Yeah, yelling into the void. You should be used to it by now.
Yeah, it yelled back at me. It was very scary. So we're going to get into some checkered past in a second here, but I have a very vital and important question that I need to ask you up front. How do you feel about Fishbone?
I got to answer this like, I guess delicately because Mike Park absolutely loves Fishbone.
Uh-oh.
Oh, I'm so excited.
I enjoy certain songs, and I can appreciate completely what they've done over the years. But a lot of that fusion music for me just doesn't hit me the way it seems to hit a lot
Mike,
of other
I'd like
people.
to just tell you right now, you just got a new best friend over here. Rob brings it up every episode because I feel I'm the only one in the world who doesn't like Fishbone. And I have to defend my stance. And yes, we all know what they've done for music. My stance is it's just not enjoyable to listen to. They seem like
it gets really hectic. Like
it's like
I love a lot of like the really good ska tunes they have. Like even Ma and Pa's a awesome tune, but then you listen to the rest of their stuff, it sounds nothing like that.
Exactly. It gets primacy that's my argument.
Yeah, totally.
Thank you, Mike.
Who
What a
is
great
hearing-
guy. Sorry, Toni.
Well,
I don't
we might
mean
not
to.
be on Asian Man Records after this, so we'll see.
But you have a friend.
Selena's going to start a record label just for you.
Well, that'd be cool because it looks like we're going to be looking soon. So
Oh, yeah, we're the official pod of Stomp Records. Sort of. That's not true.
We forced ourselves
I
into it on
forced myself
Twitter.
to-
Yeah,
I
we
forced
just
myself.
They were just Rob's like, "Hey, are we the house pod of Stomp Records?" And they're like, "Sure." And then Rob added it into our bio.
Yeah, you can't give me
that's
an inch.
cool. We
I'd
have a
take
very
mile.
long history with Stomp too. So
Oh, awesome.
Oh, how so?
Matt, who owns at least part of Stomp, from the Planet Smashers, he has been, I would say, crucial to especially our more recent success. So
Oh, that's amazing.
We just interviewed
Booking
him
shows
2
for
weeks
us
ago.
and-
2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
Yeah, we just talked to him. Drunkenly,
Yeah, he's
unfortunately.
fabulous. He helped us and had, before the pandemic, he had booked so many shows for us in Canada. And unfortunately, we didn't get to play most of them.
Oh,
But
that's a bummer.
yeah, he's been super, super helpful.
Where have you been up here?
Oh, all over, let's say, Ontario and Quebec.
Oh, nice. Because Buffalo is pretty close to the border, right?
Yeah, I mean, I say this all the time. Every time we talk to Canadians, we are more Canadian than we are American.
Yay!
The stuff that I reference and, from my childhood, most Americans look at me like I'm crazy.
Yeah.
I'll say something like, "Oh my God, do you guys remember Mr. Dress Up and his tickle trunk?" And they're like,
Mr.
yes.
Dress
"What are you smoking?"
Up.
God, you're like going to be best friends with everybody up here.
Yeah, everyone's gonna love you.
Next year,
Penner and
Fred
the
Penner,
Elephant Show and
the Elephant Show, Polka Dot
Oh.
Door, the
Which
it was
raccoons.
all my stuff. I loved it.
What's the song?
But most people, like, they don't understand that, like, we had, it was for us, it was like the Toronto broadcasts and stuff, all this stuff. So,
Well, that has like tales because that's kind of how SCTV came about too, is by transmitting into the U.S. like because they had a tie-in with Chicago, right? But
Yeah.
it's there's all that. It's funny because you say that Buffalo is maybe more Canadian than U.S. because Windsor, Ontario, is the opposite because they're so close to Detroit.
Really?
And so they behave like I have a friend out in Windsor who says that he basically lives in Detroit.
Yeah.
So he talks more about Detroit than he does about his Windsor, which is so funny. Border towns.
I mean, that's how we spend so much time in at least Southern Ontario. Just, that's what most people in Buffalo do. And then, I don't know, just like the friends we've met over the years and the similarities I notice. We go throughout the U.S. sometimes in Alaska if we're from Canada because of our accent, they say.
Were you
I
talking
get asked if I'm from Canada all the time. Yeah,
That's
because of
really,
my age,
like,
I guess.
based on your accent? That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yep.
You said the Elephant Show. Were you talking about Sharon, Lois, and Bram?
100%.
Absolutely.
And were you thinking of Skinnamarink Dinky Dink, Skinnamarink Doo?
Scommarinky.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I tried to do the dance for Toni a couple weeks ago.
I was just going to say, weren't we just watching these videos like 2 weeks ago?
Yes.
They are amazing. They're incredible people. And like Canadians,
Yeah.
so G-rated and like poorly produced, low budget and G-rated. Toni, your opinion on Fishbone?
Oh man. So I'm pretty indifferent. I'm not like huge, I'm not huge into them. I'm not against them, but I know we've played we've played a show with them and
Multiple.
multiple shows with them. And I don't know, I enjoy the music, but it's not something that I like put on in my free time to, just drive
Celine-
around listening to.
Celine
a
has
good
never
day
been
for me.
more vindicated in her whole life.
It's the smuggest I've ever been. Usually Rob's the smug one.
Yeah. You can't see it, but she's running around with her fists pumping in the air
Yeah.
like Rocky. Let's get into your past with ska music.
Checkered past?
The Checkered Past. That's the name of the show. Let's go top to bottom. So, Mike, talk to us about how you first got into ska music.
Oh man, it's a funny story. I've told it before. I was basically probably like 11, sixth grade, and I had been heavily into like punk rock music. And I had a friend from school brought me this Boss Tone CD, Question the Answers,
Mm-hmm.
and he just said, "Take it home and listen to it." And I said, "Well, what is it?" And he goes, "It's got like horns, it's got like saxophones, trombones." And I just looked at him and I said, "Well, that's stupid." I said, "That's something that like my grandfather would have listened to." I said, "Why the heck do I want that?" So he forced it on me anyway. I took it, put in like a notebook, and I used to bring like a CD player and a book of CDs to school, and I refused to do virtually anything without them. But I had gone home, left all my CDs in my locker, so all I had was that Boss Tone CD, and I had chores at home to do and stuff like that. So I was like, well, I guess I have to put this on. I don't really have a choice. And that first drum beat of like Kinder Words came on, and it just blew my mind. I just absolutely I just never heard anything like it in my life. And so I had finished my chores. I think I had got my allowance that day, and I just begged my parents to take me to the nearest record store so I could find everything that just sounded like this.
Did you fucking crush your chores? Like, did you crush your chores so hard to Boss Tones?
I want to say yeah, but honestly, it was so long ago I can't remember. Maybe I was just throwing down, mowing the lawn. I don't remember.
Yeah, you just did nothing, just rocking out, headbanging.
Hell of a hat comes on, you just throw yourself in the pile of leaves.
That one I remember specifically because of the F word. I thought it was the greatest thing in the world.
And that's such a good crossover because Question the Answers is like maybe they're more like punk ska, like
Oh, absolutely.
It's not really
way
like
more punky than
yeah.
it was ska, but it just helped me like transition because I was already like really into like especially at the time, think about it's the 90s. It was Green Day. They were way more in their punk phase. I was listening to Bad Religion, Rancid, stuff like that. So
That's awesome. And then when you went to the store and collected some more ska, what were you grabbing when you were there?
Well, it's funny. They handed me the newest Boss Tones album, which had already been out, which was Let's Face It, which was, more ska.
Mm-hmm.
So they gave me that one. I believe Less Than Jake, which is actually what got me hooked on Asian Man Records, because I opened up the Less Than Jake insert, Pezcore.
Yeah.
And it had like a little insert ad for Asian Man Records. And then I kind of spiraled from there. So I was like, what the hell is this? And so I looked up Asian Man Records, found more stuff even through them, just spiraled after that.
The rabbit hole. Was it one of the like mail order is fun pamphlets that just like had all the mail order stuff?
It was just like a little insert that you could go to a website, which is kind of funny because we spiral off of that. I was begging my mom to buy like anything on Asian Man Records. Like there's more Less Than Jake stuff. There was, I think Link 80 was another band. I saw they had like horns and I was like, yeah, fuck it. Let's get this. But she was so skeptical because it was, again, the 90s, and it was just like, she's giving this man, she doesn't know her credit card number. And it took like 8 weeks or something crazy I guess crazy by these days standards, but to come to my house, and she's freaking out. She's like yelling at me, he's got my credit card number. I don't know what he's doing with it. But fast forward 20 years and Mike Park is in my mom's house having dinner.
That's so cute.
Kind of, it's a funny, come full circle there.
And he fully stole her identity, and they laugh about it now. I'm assuming that did not happen.
But she laughed. She laughed at it when he was there. I don't know if she found it funny. She might be still mad at me for it.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
And he still uses her credit card to this day.
Yeah, I mean, funny thing, also another come full circle moment, Mike Park gave us his credit card number, so I guess we kind of traded.
Yeah.
Buy yourself something nice.
Now who's paying who?
Right. Yeah, he's like, buy some CDs, and then I put a couple guitars on there, and
Yeah. Speaking of, I noticed you're a Gretsch guy. You have the Gretsch black.
I am. Oh my God.
Man,
you know
you're
how
gonna get him
happy I am that you
started.
said that. Toni, you might as well hang up. You're not
I know.
gonna
I
talk
can just
today.
walk away and leave right now.
Oh my God.
I'm not like a big guitar person, but I had an ex-boyfriend that was super into Gretsch, so I not unfortunately, I don't mean to be offensive, but I have all this like, for me in my life, useless Gretsch knowledge. But yes, I noticed you have the Black Falcon, I think.
Yes,
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
I have a Black Falcon and I have a Gretsch Duo Jet as well.
Okay.
That is like the only stuff I use anymore. I don't touch any of
They're
my
beautiful.
other
They're beautiful guitars. Hollow body.
Yep.
They're pretty.
You wanted to ask about Billy?
Oh yeah, I was gonna ask if you were ever into rockabilly or psychobilly, because as somebody who used to be, I was like, Mike's kind of giving me like I used to be into rockabilly vibes.
Yes, I actually played in a rockabilly band, but
Okay.
I was the upright bass player.
Tony's just laughing. I wish I could have seen Tony's face.
You like psychologically profiled him.
Yeah, I didn't mean to be. I was like, don't bring this up. Ask him if you.
I love
It's
it.
true. I mean, the funny thing is, though, is I didn't actually get into Gretsch because of
Brian
because
Setzer.
of rockabilly. I played upright bass, and my guitar player at the time used to say, "Come on, man, just take this Gretsch and play it." And I was just like, I don't know. I don't think that's for me. I got more into Gretsch because of one of my favorite guitar players, which is Chris Chaney from The Living End.
Oh yeah, I used to be super into The Living End.
Oh my God.
We saw them at Warped Tour.
Yeah, we saw him at Warped Tour.
See,
and
that's a band though that
crushed.
I feel like has like Fishbone. They combine so many different genres.
They're
they can
fucking-
be rockabilly, they can be punk, they can be ska.
They can be
but
pop
I think,
sometimes,
at least in my
too.
opinion, it's better on my ears.
It's just enjoyable to listen. It's poppy, it's melodic, it's catchy, it's fun.
Yeah.
It's Australian.
Well, and then I heard him play like some ska riffs, and I was just like, shit. I'm like, that's the sound. Like that's the sound I've been searching for. I used to play Telecasters. I used to play Les Pauls, and Les Paul was too muddy. Telecaster's too bright. I was like, what the hell? So I grab a Gretsch, and it's like right in the middle, and it's the best thing I've ever played in my life.
Oh, that's awesome. It is a beautiful guitar. But yeah, Living End's sweet.
Yeah.
Oh, I love them.
They have a couple
them.
ska songs for sure.
Living End
Oh, they got
and
a ton. Yeah.
and what's the one from Scandinavia? The Peacocks. They were also like a
Oh,
ska.
I love them as well.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And they
love
were
them.
on Asian Man. Man, just like
It's
spinning
all
around.
coming
I know.
around.
I actually only learned about that maybe 2 months ago when Mike posted something about them.
Yeah,
I had been listening to them for years, but I didn't know they were on the same label as us at one time.
I had the copy of that CD. I was the same thing. I had a binder of CDs that just followed me everywhere I went, and I had left it on a bus at one point, and somebody just took it away from me.
Oh, brutal.
Toni, were you ever into rockabilly or psychobilly?
I can't say that I have been.
You know what? Like I was very into it, and it's a very controversial. I have a love-hate with it now. I do, but it's still deep in my soul. I still enjoy some songs, but it's a hard genre to justify it to my friends.
Toni, let's talk about your checkered past. Tell us how you got into ska music.
Yeah, so I feel like when people ask us this question, I'm always like, well, my past with ska is more typical. I feel like, my first introduction was Real Big Fish's "Cheer Up" in probably middle school, high school. Listening to those songs, I had some friends who were like, "Hey, you should check out Real Big Fish," and then from there, it's just mostly like. I think one of the first ska bands I saw live was Big D and the Kids Table because they were doing tour of like colleges or something to that degree. So they came to Fredonia, and I remember it was so much fun, and I just fell in love with kind of the just the vibe of the show. I had never really been to a show like that, so really enjoyed them, seeing them there. And in college, I played in a ska band just because I was drawn there. For the horns, I started on saxophone, so played in a ska band there. And then a lot of, when I heard Streetlight Manifesto, at first I didn't really love them. And then the more I listened to them, really fell in love with just their horn lines. And I like the way he writes lyrics and stuff like that. So, I feel like mostly just started off with kind of your more streamline mainstream ska bands, and then when I joined the Abruptors, Mike kind of opened up, my world of ska, realizing that there's a lot more out there than just that third wave and what I was exposed to. So really listening more Hepcat and bands like that when I joined the Abruptors, but really just kind of Mike's kind of the encyclopedia of ska, so getting a lot of what I know about ska from him as well too.
That's awesome. We our first live ska show that we saw was also Big D and the Kids Table. So that's our and it was also just like, this is so fun, like the vibe, everyone's just dancing and kind of moshing, but mostly dancing.
I just remember it being crazy and the staff at Fredonia not knowing what to do. Like, I'm not sure if they realized what they had welcomed into like the main dining hall. And so like people were just losing their minds and, crowd surfing and pushing and jumping off one another. And I think at one point they actually shut the show down. Like they turned the lights off and like kicked us all out. It was crazy.
That's punk rock. That's fun.
That was my first exposure to a, like a true, like a ska punk type show. And from there, I feel like you haven't been able to get me away from those type of shows. I go and there's just something about that atmosphere. But
it's the best.
Yep, for sure.
It's funny that it's like the typical story that we talk about now is kind of like the mid 2000s ska. It wasn't like a lot of people nowadays that are in the scene all got into it like after the quote unquote death of ska, and it's usually through Big D, Streetlight. I'd say Cheer Up is like a pretty classic like entry ska record for a lot of people too. I think that was my first Real Big Fish record too. I'm trying to think.
You guys are making me feel really old right now. I lived through the rise and the death of ska.
I guess that's so. We got hooked up with your band through Greg from the Propaganda podcast. So how did you meet up with him?
That's a really funny story. One night, Mike Park was posting something on Twitter, and I just responded to it. I don't even remember what the hell it was. And then this Propaganda podcast responded, "Hey, buddy, I also live in Buffalo." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, cool. A lot of people do." It's like I didn't really know what to say. And then he just started messaging me like through Twitter, but like, on the personal messages. And he's just like, hey, where do you live? And first I was a little wary. I'm like, the hell do you want to know where I live? So I just generalized. I'm like, well, I live in Amherst. He's like, oh, me too. I'm like, oh, all right. And
He's
then
like,
he
I'm right outside your
"What street?"
door.
And I was just like, oh man. I'm like, I'll give him the street, but I'm not going to give him the address. So I said, I lived on Burroughs, and he told me that he lived on a street that was within walking distance. And so we just started talking. And then one day he just goes, so he's like, I bet you have merch. She's like, can I come over? I was like, okay, sure. And, but ever since then, we've actually been really good friends. He came over, he bought everything we had, just to support us. He has always been very vocal about his support for us. And, even during the pandemic, we started practicing again, and he asked if he could come over just so he could get some live music in his system. He's like amazing with how much he just loves live music. So
yeah, he the Mu330 episode was the one where he got kind of hooked up with us, and then as soon as he heard it, he was just like, "Oh, the Abruptors are my neighbors."
He actually isn't from Buffalo. That's
He's from
why
St. Louis. Yeah,
that's why he was so like, I want to say pushy, not pushy, but he was like still like interested in meeting me. It was because he's like, oh man, here's somebody who likes stuff I like. Like, let me please like finally meet somebody else, because in this area it's not. I want to say ska is not big at all. Or
Really?
even just alternative music. It's not. It's hard to find people who like what you like here.
Okay, because we're kind of a small city too, but there is a big alternative music scene.
Yeah, but
there's definitely like a punk scene, but it's not. I don't know. It's like if you don't know them, you're just not going to find it.
That's fair.
It's actually so that's a good segue to what my question is. I tried to research other Buffalo-based ska bands, and I came up a little short. I know, obviously, I know a bunch of New York bands through Moon, and then tons in Long Island. But how's the Buffalo scene? Like, is there anything new coming up through there? Is there any classics that everyone should be aware of?
So honestly, there's a band that I want to give a shout out to. I don't even know if they'll ever hear it, but they're called Working Class Stiffs. They are like, if you love Suicide Machines, like they're just like that. Awesome band, really good people. Beyond that, though, like we have been the lone ska band in this city for a long time. Basically Toni was in a ska band. I was in a different ska band. Our drummer was in a different ska band, and we kind of all combined to make this. There's been a few locals. They last about a year, then they break up. But nothing that's ever stuck around really.
Toni, how about you? Is there anything in the city that is coming up that you like, or maybe even outside of ska? Like what's coming up in Buffalo that's big these days?
Oh man, I guess that's really hard because I feel like I haven't been to a local show for a really long time. Like that wasn't one that I was at playing, just because of COVID and all that stuff. But man, I don't know. I guess my answer's got to be very similar to Mike's, that I'm not really. There's not really anything going on around Buffalo right now. Any local bands? I mean, we have some friends who play in like cover bands and stuff like that, but there's nothing that's like an original ska band that has been playing around town.
It's interesting. Why do you think that is? Buffalo is one of the most populous cities in New York, I think, outside of the city itself, right? So
it is the second most populous city in New York State.
Yeah. So why do you think that ska just never took off over there?
Oh, I think there's multiple reasons. I mean, I think anybody who's ever been in a ska band can know just how hard it is. It's not easy to keep more than like 3 people together. It's not even easy to keep 3 people together.
Yeah.
So not only that, I think another big thing is like finding people around your age, with even in 15 years of your age, to try to play a horn or try to play keyboards. Like the 2 keyboard players we've had, there was a keyboard player before Toni, and Toni herself, she had to learn how to play ska. So I think that's another big thing. I'm only a guitar player because nobody else that we found could play ska on guitar.
Right.
So I just bought a guitar one day. I watched a video and I taught myself how to play it. It's just not something common that happens around here.
I've tried to play the
another-
guitar so many times. Sorry, Tony, I interrupt you, but I can't just like get over just getting a guitar and just being like, I'm just gonna learn this. My little stubby fingers. Anyway, sorry, Tony.
No, it's okay. I was gonna say, I think another big reason too that you see like little ska bands pop up, but then they don't last very long, is that we have a lot of students in Buffalo because of like Buff State, University of Buffalo. Even when I was in a ska band in college, like they were from all over the state. So, you know, we played together for 3 years, but then once everybody graduated, it was kind of like, all right, well, I guess we're just going to go away now and dissipate. So I think a lot of the things that happen around Buffalo are like people who, you know, they're not staying here for a long time. They're just looking for somebody to play music with, and then it just kind of goes away. So it doesn't ever really become anything too serious with them.
So considering that it's you're a bit of an oasis of ska, I guess, in your city. Like, how did you get hooked up with Mike then, and with Asian Man?
You're just wanting all the embarrassing stories.
I'm a professional interviewer.
Well, all right. So I was in a band called B-Side Bastards. That was my first ska band, and we used to have we still have this really good relationship with a production company around here, and they'll like ask me if I want to go to shows just for free, get in for free, and they're just super good, and they're very thankful to bands that help them. So Streetlight Manifesto was coming through, and unlike Tony, I actually can't stand them.
Rob cried. Rob just a single tear rolled down Rob's cheek, but carry on.
I absolutely hate them. That one I have no problem saying for many reasons.
Tom's not listening. You're okay.
So the guy said, hey, Streetlight's coming through, Mike. Do you want to get in for free? I said, nope, I'm good. And then I found out that Mike Park and Dan P were opening. So I quickly changed my tune. And I went, and there they were. They actually had the best tour posters, and it was a picture of Mike and Dan as Peanuts characters, and it said America's Sweethearts. I still have it signed by the both of them. And so I was like freaking out, like the biggest baby. It was unbelievable. I'm so embarrassed by myself. But I had loved Mike Park since I was like a child. Like I was just so in love with him. And so I had him, for some godforsaken reason, I had him hold up a CD of B-Side Bastards. I don't know why. And I took a picture of him.
Because it's sweet. He's holding your band's album.
Oh, yeah, but he hated it.
Yeah, but he was
actually
near
took
it.
home, and he's like, this is not good. So, yeah, like a year later, he ended up coming through because he does weddings. And he was doing somebody's wedding here in Buffalo. And he put on Facebook, do I know anybody in Buffalo that wants to do something? So right away, I was, tacking like a fly on shit. And I just said, hey, I said, do you remember me? And he goes, oh, I sure do. So I don't know if that was a good mark or a bad mark that I left on him. But so it was kind of funny. He met me at this hotel he was staying at, and he kind of like, he didn't trick me, but he kind of like used my excitement to have Dan P come and play my house, because Dan was doing a living room tour at the time. And so I was like, just again, freaking out. Oh man, here's Mike Park. He wanted to go see a movie. It was like, what a dream come true for me. But then Mike was like, hey, would you let Dan play at your home? And I'm like, oh, I don't really want anybody at my house. Not Dan per se, but I don't like random people coming to my home, I guess.
No, I wouldn't like that either.
Yeah. So I was just like setting up a show and have like random like dirty punk kids in my house.
Yeah.
Didn't sound like a great time. But I did it. And that's kind of how we got Mike appreciated that kind of stuff. He looks at people who do nice things and just stuff like that to help other people out, because Dan stayed with us. He spent the night. We all went out to eat. And that's basically how we got hooked up. I would send Mike music from time to time. And I wrote this song called Don't Worry. And I sent it to him, and he just said, hey, that's great. Let's do a 7-inch. And that's what started the whole thing off.
That's amazing.
That
Yeah,
show,
it was awesome.
when it came up here to Edmonton.
Oh, yeah?
Streetlight, Dan P, and Mike Park. And I also had a nerdcore moment when I met Mike Park there, too.
Rob also embarrassed himself.
I also embarrassed myself, and I said, you're my hero. I listened to Sing Along with Skank and Pickle 50 times in high school, and it got me through it. And he was like, oh, cool. Thanks, man. I think there was not a lot of people that recognized him there, and I was just like, I love you so much.
Yeah. It's funny how many times that happens. I did merch for him, the Alkaline Trio show he did a couple years ago. And so he had like his band, I think it was Ogikuoba Station. Believe that's who he's playing with. But anyway, he was opening for Alkaline Trio. And I was amazed at the amount of, there was like a 50-50 split in Buffalo. There was people begging for Asian Man merch. And then there was other people who had no idea what I was doing there. Like some people had known me, but they had no idea who Mike Park was or why I was behind the merch booth.
Oh, jeez.
I had a question for Toni.
Yeah.
I was just wondering what the like lady music scene is where you are. Like, is there like a good like community of like female musicians? Is it like far and few between?
I would say, there's definitely it's another hard question, I feel like.
No, for
I
sure.
I think majority of bands that we play with are definitely heavily male.
It's a sausage fest.
Because you have two women in your band, correct?
Correct, yes.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, so it's TJ and I, and she plays valve trombone and just kills it.
Yeah.
Really excited when we found her, and it was totally a fluke. Like how she joined our band. We were looking for another horn player to hop in since I was learning keys and playing, singing more vocals with Mike. And, we were just on the hunt for a horn player. And she actually was the teacher for my daughter at daycare.
Oh, my God.
So she had found me on Facebook, and she was just sharing pictures of herself playing trumpet over and over again and saying how much she missed playing music. And Mike really, did not want a trumpet player as a lone horn. But I was like, let me message her and see if we have somebody, like if she knows somebody who plays trombone or if she herself plays trombone. And I asked her, I said, hey, do you play trombone? And she said, no, but I can learn.
Yeah.
So she totally joined us, bought a valve trombone, and has just been killing it with us ever since. So
that's it's pretty incredible that like so many of you are just like so far all three of your stories are like, we didn't do this before, but we really wanted to be in this band, so we figured it out.
Figured out how to do it. Yeah,
that's
totally
amazing.
DJ's story. Yeah, and every once in a while she'll play trumpet on our recordings and stuff, and so it's been really cool to have her.
Okay, shorter question is there anyone in your band that knew their instrument before joining?
I think most of us did. I mean,
I'm just kidding. I'm sorry. You're very talented musicians. I can't play anything. Like, you have to remember, I'm throwing stones in a glass house.
But you knew what the Gretsch Falcon was, and that's tops. There's people who play guitar who don't even know what the hell it is.
Yeah. Oh yeah, my memory is a mysterious place.
So we're winding down this segment here. So we've got a couple things just to do real fast. So when I reached out to you to join the podcast, you suggested Bruce Lee Band,
Yes.
which is super exciting. What made you choose that group to discuss today?
Two reasons. I would say one, because it's Mike Park's band, and we're on Asian Man. And then I would say the other reason is I just don't feel they get like enough credit. Like that was definitely one of those early finds for me when I knew that like originally Less Than Jake was in the Bruce Lee Band. That's something a lot of people don't even know. They don't even know, I guess, that band half the time. I just thought it would be cool to discuss that.
For sure. I only know it because of Rob. I don't know if I would have been aware of them without Rob being so into them.
I mean, we actually had it queued up to do Bruce Lee Band way back when we were doing Skank and Pickle. We did a Skank and Pickle episode before we had guests, but we pivoted off of the no guest format, and really we actually had like all of our notes and everything ready to go. So I was very excited when you said Bruce Lee Band. I'm like, oh, I did all my stuff for this already. This is exciting. Now, before we take a break, it's time for the nation's most critically acclaimed Trivia Ska game show. Guess that horn section.
Oh, I got a heads up though. Oh no, not them, not the Abruptors. We're doing.
Oh yeah, no, you don't have to guess their horn section. So this is a fun game for Celine to play
She doesn't like it.
that she's been asking to get rid of, but it might be the most famous part of our podcast.
I actually really liked when you did the ones. That was funny.
I don't even remember what I guessed. Did I get it right?
You kind of. I think you said a trombone and a saxophone, but it was like trombone and trombone.
That's weird.
Now
I still haven't absorbed that. I'm like, whoa, there's 2 trombones.
So Bruce Lee Band, you can argue does not have a horn section, but I would argue there is something of a horn section. Celine,
One.
correct.
Trombone?
Oh.
Saxophone? Trumpet?
You could have swore you heard
A saxophone?
a saxophone.
I was gonna say my heart was with saxophone.
And we'll talk. And like
My heart was with saxophone.
there are changes to that depending on the
Was it like
the
changes
release.
as it was a trombone?
Well, because I mean everything. Yeah, kinda actually. I guess we'll get into it in a second. But there is always a saxophone in the band because Mike Park plays the
saxophone. The
correct.
tenor saxophone.
The tenor saxophone. That is correct.
Yeah,
so
and
there
I
is
knew that
always
already.
a tenor saxophone.
That was not a guess.
in every one of them. I was just hoping you were going to say 3. Secretly hoping you were going to say
You kind
3
of dropped
horns.
hint. You said there was like kind of a horn, and that really the way
So
that
I should stop giving you hints.
No, I loved it, but the way you said it, I was like, oh, there's probably like one.
That's fun. Like Cap Down has just the one horn. The guy sings and plays the saxophone. Is
I
that
love
too much?
saxophones.
That's why you always hear them.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, it's time for the Time Skachine.
Oh, hey, oh, what the fuck you doing with your life these days? Oh, hey, oh, what the fuck you doing with yourself?
Welcome back to Checkered Past the Skodcast with Celine and Rob. We are here with Mike and Toni from the Abruptors, and now we're going to enter the Time Skachine. Oh, that's scary today.
It sounds very painful. I don't know if I want to be here anymore.
Yeah, you don't want to be in that.
Someone died.
You don't want to be in that Time Skachine. This is that one that like with like the fly where it just like tears you into 2 pieces.
Yeah.
So we're going to the year 1995, and I pulled some sources for this week's band. Obviously, I was on Wikipedia, but Mike Park did an interview with Ska Punk International and a couple other interviews that I pulled some stuff from. Kevin Noguchi did some interviews, and I went on Asian Man's current and former website. So I even dug into their old Angel Fire website, which we'll play in a little bit.
Angel Fire.
Yeah, that's
Dang.
a tease. Angel Fire. So, 1995. This basically picks up from when we left off on our episode on Skank and Pickle, because this is basically in the death rattle of Skank and Pickle, 95. This is their final years, shortly after releasing Sing Along, shortly before the Green album came out, and the band is approaching the end of its creative life. So Mike decides he's going to look for a new solo outing for him. All he knows is that he's going to sing, that he's going to write all the lyrics, and that he's going to play saxophone. But he's going to get a brand new backing band for him. He dubs this project Bruce Lee Band, which is a reference to how many racist people compare him to Bruce Lee.
Yeah, that's dark.
Yeah, well, he's taking it back.
Yeah, he is taking it back.
He's taking it back. It comes into, it gives him some problems later on.
Sucks that it happens so much.
So, in order to back him on his first album, Mike Park decides to pull 3 nobodies from some nobody band that nobody's ever heard of called Less Than Jake. Chris, Roger, and Vinny are the
Less
Who.
than who? Yeah.
Who? 1995. We need to contextualize this. This is important. Everyone knows Less Than Jake. We're all fans. But in 1995, Pezcore hadn't even come out yet. And if you're as I alluded to on the Skank and Pickle episode, Less Than Jake were not really popular amongst sort of serious ska people, but Mike was a big fan, and he had to convince the rest of his label mates or the people who ran Dill at the time that they were good enough to put a record out. And so eventually that actually ended up being on Asian Man later.
Ooh.
But It's all I'm saying is that it's just interesting in 95 that Less Than Jake, nobody had really knew them except, in touring circles. And they hadn't even released their first album yet. And they joined Bruce Lee Band. And some other members joined from Less Than Jake too. Trombone player is on a couple songs, and the Barry is on a couple songs.
I thought you said it was only the saxophone.
So on the first record, they also had some other people.
I said trombone, so I consider that a win for me.
But in true Mike Park fashion, the writing recording time is rather short. They basically enter the studio, crank out a whole album, and put it out. And that album is called Bruce Lee Band, but actually called B. Lee Band.
Is it?
Yes. Because his brother worked at the CD pressing plant that he used for Asian Man and said, I think you're going to get sued. And so he changed the name.
It's actually Bruce Lee's brother.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's what I meant to say. Bruce Lee's brother. And said, I think you're going to get sued.
Oh.
Yes.
That's funny.
Which maybe at the time that might have been true, but clearly that wasn't a problem later. But at that time they decided, let's just go with, let's go with B. Lee. The album is released, and that's what we're going to talk about first. So before I start playing some tunes, Mike and Toni, how do you feel about the debut Bruce Lee Band, a.k.a. B. Lee Band?
I would say these days it's probably my least favorite, but it was a huge part of my ska rotation as a kid. Loved it.
How about yourself, Toni?
I'm gonna have to be honest with you guys. I only have really recently started listening to Bruce Lee Band with their more recent releases, so I'm gonna be ashamed to say I'm not familiar.
I'm not like super familiar either, other than just like having heard it growing up like through Rob. So
you know what? I will also agree. It might be my least favorite one. But at the time when I first heard it, it was kind of a similar thing, Mike, where I was like, wow, Mike Park is singing for Less Than Jake, basically.
Yeah, that's really what drew me in, was the Less Than Jake connection. And
yeah.
I thought that was really cool. And some of the songs there's definitely some important messages. There's some silly songs, and it definitely was a way for him to branch off into what he's doing now. He's got a lot of similarities, but,
Yeah, it's true. It's like, so I'm playing Proud right now. It really does sound like a Mike Park joint in a lot of ways, but it's the least musically the same as kind of his later stuff that have more of a succinct kind of message. And like to your point too, the lyrics are in his 90s version, which is he's more on the nose about stuff and a little bit less like subtle, but it's definitely getting there. And I mean, the album is what, like 35-40 minutes, all things considered. It's really in and out. I mean, Mike is kind of allergic to songs longer than 2 minutes, and I appreciate that.
This song sounds like it would just be fun to see live.
That's something that I'll touch on later, but they barely played any live shows.
Crazy.
Like,
that's a bummer.
9?
we actually got to play with them live.
Oh, wow.
In this iteration?
No, God, no.
Oh, okay. Oh, I got excited for a second. I was like, what?
How did those
No,
timelines
no.
work out?
When did you play with them? And was that
so
in their
our first year of being a band? Mike had signed us a couple months in, and he was playing this show with Bruce Lee Band in California. And I just randomly messaged him. I'm like, Mike, can we come to California and open for you? And he's like, well, if you want to waste that kind of money, sure. So we did.
That's awesome.
And that was at the Jeff era then, I guess, if it was just like a couple years back.
Yeah, it was kind of weird though, because it was Jeff, Dan, Kevin Higuchi, but like Jeff was playing bass.
Right.
Yeah.
He plays bass
like,
in the new version of that, which is just strange.
Right, but when he does it live now, he's usually playing keyboards.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So yeah, it was like slightly different. It was like right when they decided they were going to move forward with this version of Bruce Lee Band.
Oh wow, that's fantastic. And then just back to this debut, I'm gonna play another song here. This is Consomnida, which is he sings it in Korean. I have a soft spot for the Korean-led songs. It's great. The horns sound great on this album, I'll say that.
Oh yeah, very less than Jake though.
Yeah, very much so. But like, horns don't play as big a part in later records, but on this one, it's very horn first.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, it's also like crazy fast, less than Jake style.
There's actually a video out there too of Chris DeMakes playing the song that he sings on this album, Justice.
Oh yeah,
Have you seen that video?
I have not, but I do like that song.
He sits there and he says, like, this isn't my song because I'd write a better song. He starts playing it acoustically.
I do have a soft spot for the Korean songs as well.
And the last song I have queued up is maybe the most famous song on this thing, and pseudo put them on the map because it showed up on comps and stuff. Don't Sit Next to Me Just Because I'm Asian, which is an acoustic song. But usually this isn't the album that I recommend to people who want to get into Bruce Lee band. It's one of only 2 full lengths. 4 EPs and 2 full lengths. It's more their style to just get in and get out.
Oh, that'll be 3 soon.
Oh yeah, I hope so. Is that something that's out there?
yeah, it's coming out. Yeah, he's got it on his website too, so it's coming.
Engineer Joey has a. Oh, sorry, Tony. I keep interrupting poor Tony.
Mike's out here leaking all the secrets.
Well, I mean, he does. Mike will actually send me certain songs, whether it's Bruce Lee band or something solo. He'll send it to me just to give me a little taste before it's released. So sometimes I get news before other people.
Joey has a story about that song. It's not that interesting, but the Don't Sit Next to Me on the Bus Just Because I'm Asian. Your friend who is Asian.
I'm going to spin my mic towards Joey to tell his story.
I just feel like it's like cute and it's sweet, and just thinking of all the people that would like feel represented by that song.
When I was in high school, I was friends with this dude, and I lived in a really far north in Manitoba town with like a pretty small population. So not super diverse, but the one Asian dude who was actually born in Asian was this dude Kin, and he was a Malaysian fellow, and he was my age, and he skateboarded and was into punk rock and stuff, so he hung out with me and my friends, and he like played acoustic guitar punk songs. That was kind of his jam. He actually played that Green Day song "Time of Your Life" at my grad, but he would commonly play "Don't Sit Next to Me Just Because I'm Asian," and it was like his hit, and it was amazing.
Did everyone love it?
Everyone loved it, and it was true because he literally he was living the song, so it was super legit. I
Representation matters.
Yeah, hi Kin, if you're listening, I doubt it, but you're a great guy. I loved you.
Oh, and that's kind of like all I had on the Less Than Jake era. I know it's some people's favorite. I don't have a lot to really comment on it because it's just not the one I go to. It's good, but I don't go to it as much.
I enjoyed it. I don't have much history with it, but I enjoyed it.
Any last minute thoughts or anything you want to comment on before we move on to the next one?
No, I'd say I got it all out in just that short segment.
All right, so in 1996, after the release of the album, the 4-piece version of the band plays a grand total of 9 shows. This is the exact time that Skankin' Pickle and Dill Records dissolves and Mike reissues the album on his fledgling Asian Man Records, which had put out Pezcore at this time. On the Bruce Lee band's Angel Fire, I teased Angel Fire, it's here. Mike makes a big promise that he is going to travel to Gainesville to record the follow-up. And he doesn't.
He doesn't.
Instead, the band breaks up because, it's Less Than Jake. In 1996, they basically turned into superstars. This would have been losing streak era, so forget about it. Yeah, Mike getting his buddies to do it while they're doing national tours.
There's
probably
actually
wasn't gonna happen.
more to that story.
Oh, let's hear it.
But I can't say it.
Okay.
Just out of respect. I don't know if he would be cool with me saying what else happened, but I don't want to. But that's not.
It's
that's
good
not
to know.
all.
Yeah,
there's more to the story, but it's good to know that
So
there's more. There's nuances.
We mentioned this
It's
before,
nuanced.
but there is a very clean when we did research for this, we noticed that it doesn't have a lot of dirt on a lot of the stories that you hear.
No,
Mike
there's
is
a lot of
very open on a
positivity.
lot of his interviews, but he
would
keeps things very
probably tell
positive.
you, to be honest.
He'd probably tell
but
me.
I just, yeah, no, he'd probably tell everybody. He is very open. I just, since I've never actually heard him say it, I probably don't. I don't want to say.
Yeah,
But it does have to do with getting less than Jake getting bigger. That's definitely part of it.
It's that. I mean, that's how I read into it whenever I read anything about it. Is they're big and it's probably difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that means that basically the Bruce Lee band is dissolved at this point, and instead Mike Park goes and forms the Chinkees, which is his next sort of big side project, solo project.
Doesn't sound great coming out of your mouth.
I'm trying to not have it come out of me, but
You know what's interesting is during the pandemic, somebody hired us from IBM, the computer company,
Okay.
to do like living room shows for their company.
Fun.
And so we did it. But one thing they noticed was my living room. I have this big Chinkees poster. And so they insisted that we take it down because they thought I just had like this racial slur hanging on my wall.
There's context.
So we tried to explain it, and the talent scout that hired us tried to explain it because he knew who the Chinkees were, but they weren't having it.
No.
So I had to take it down.
Yeah.
and we can talk Chinkees on a different episode, but we're talking
Whoa.
Bruce Lee
Oh,
band
God.
today.
Well,
that was the
whatever.
other option, was we were going to talk about the Chinkees, but
I was actually going to suggest that too.
and so what we're going to do is now take the Time Skachine into the future. I need a Time Skachine sound. It's still scary. Why is it so scary? At least it's not hurting me this time.
Like haunted,
Yeah.
the haunted time stuff.
So we're going into 2006. That's right. 10 years. That's the gap between the last time something happened till the time that they decide to put out a follow-up. And he gets the itch to get the band back together, but decides, hey, let's get some new people and do a new version of this band. So he gets Matt, Joseph, Chris, and Steve of the Pharmaceutical Bandits, aka the RX Bandits. And what I love about this era of Bruce Lee band is that this is prog ska RX Bandits time, like, and The Battle Begun came out in the same year, which means that like they basically had gone all in on the prog rock ska fusion thing and weren't third waving at all. So they got onto this record and decided to do a pretty much full-blown two-tone record. Like, the EP is very two-tone and not proggy at all, and I'm here for it.
Yeah.
I love Beautiful World, the follow-up EP, released in 2006. Toni, how do you feel about this one? Have you had a chance to listen to this one recently?
No. I'm sorry.
That's okay. You're in for a treat. I'm playing Go Feet Go to start.
Go
just
Feet
because-
Go is very good. That's
Yeah, this is probably my favorite one if I had to pick one.
Yeah, me too.
This
God,
is the
love it.
like one of the songs I was more familiar with going into this.
Well, it's just so organ driven, the EP as a whole, and I love ska organ. So
And I know Go Feet Go. Wait, maybe I
Yeah.
do know this one.
You do.
I know you do.
My
There's
favorite ska organ is Skin. Because it's the biggest one.
That's the best joke that's ever been told on this podcast.
ASMR cue.
Go Feet Go. Yeah, God, that sounds good.
That organ is so good.
I mean, like, in a lot of ways, it's basically one step beyond, but I love a riff on that version where it's like all instrumental, just you're usually just saying one phrase or word, lots of organ, lots of saxophone. Man, you just can't beat it. It's so good.
Yeah, it's very fun. It's hard to sit still and listen to that song.
Yeah, it makes my feet go.
It makes me think like there's a Pokemon named Feet. Go Feet Go.
You're on fire.
I know, I don't like me either.
Now this is more like chill song, running out of time. So good.
Again, it's that organ that just drives the whole song.
Are you RX Bandits fans? There's a big
No.
there's a lot of chatter on Twitter the other day about RX Bandits. But their like new stuff is so proggy and people love it. I like it okay, but it's not my favorite.
Yeah, I don't know. I was never really big into them.
Yeah, Robert doesn't like him either.
What?
He
The
just knows
RX
everything. I'm just kidding. You clearly know
I love the
everything
RX
about
Bandits.
them. Yeah.
They're the only good band on Drive-Thru Records.
Whoa.
I'm just not an emo guy. Like,
Yeah.
It's just not for me.
No Newfound Glory?
No. Joey, Newfound Glory. Yeah.
Tony, are you an
First to
emo
last.
gal? Or did you ever go through an emo phase, Tony?
I'm still in my emo phase, I think.
Oh, boy.
Did
Now
you
it's my turn to hang out.
Yeah. What were your favorite emo bands, or are your favorite emo bands?
Oh my gosh, poor Mike just recently got dragged to a show for a band called the Spill Canvas. They're my
Okay.
all-time favorite.
You know what? I didn't allow myself to like emo growing up because I was too punk, goth, psychobilly, whatever. And as I get I love emo now. I wish I had allowed myself to like it more. I was always secretly listening to emo.
I think because there's negative connotations, right?
Totally.
If you listen to emo music, but I recently just learned to own it.
At the age of 31, I'm like, you know what? I just like emo, okay?
Right. I just love it.
I
Don't
just
judge
love
me.
it. It's good. It's catchy. I'm sad and angsty. They're sad and angsty.
So there we go. Well, then I always get on this tangent, and I'm sure Mike has heard me say it a million times though, but at the root of it, technically, most lyrics are written based on emotions and being super emotional. So anybody could technically say they're emo, right?
Right?
So they're all trying to disown it, but
That's the pull quote from this episode.
you're all emo.
You're all emo
Get
is the
over it.
title of the Get Over It. We're all emo. Get over it. Say with Bruce Lee, but the Bruce Lee band's kind of emo
You think so?
for sure.
It's pretty mad.
My
most-
partner-
Well, actually, Mike tried to start the Chinkees as an emo ska band.
That would have been so fun, actually.
So there you go.
Everyone's emo.
That was
You're all emo. Get over
that
it.
was possible in the 90s. The Impossibles were a really good emo ska band. And nowadays, man, it's just emo and ska
Yeah.
are getting connected.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's part of it. Yeah, that's about all I got on Beautiful World. I love it. It might be one of, if not my favorite. I still think it's
Agreed.
very
It's a
unique
very
in the catalog.
enjoyable listen, and I was just shuffling Bruce Lee band at work, whatever was on YouTube Music, and it seems the most popular songs tend to be on this out. It seemed like it was mostly songs from this that was getting shuffled.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Well,
Maybe
that
the
is
big five.
Yeah, there might be a big five in the future, so we'll see about that. I like how you're tipping your hat a little bit.
Yeah.
So that was a one and done. RX Bandits did not return for a follow up, and Bruce Lee Band also sort of dissolved once again in its state. So
Yeah.
I need another Time Skachine noise.
Meep 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 meep. It's the Time Ska Machine.
What are you doing?
I was trying to make a happy sound. I was trying to not make it scary.
Succeeded. Actually, it might have been more scary. Actually,
I'm bleeding from my eyes right now.
so now we're in 2014. We're making our way through time fast. This is going to be probably the most stable version of the band coming up right away here. Long hiatus where Mike focused on his other projects as well as his record label. Finally time to get another version of the Bruce Lee Band back together. And this time he gets Jeff, Mike, Sean, and Dave from Bomb the Music Industry, plus his drummer bandmate from the Chinkees, Kevin Higuchi, who in a twist of fate would eventually also join Jeff's live band Death Rosenstock. So it all is tied together. Bruce Lee Band once again is a veritable supergroup, and this iteration releases an EP entitled Community Support Group as a teaser for their follow-up, Everything Will Be All Right, My Friend, in that same year. So I have a quote here from how Jeff got involved with this project. Mike said, "Well, Jeff Rosenstock and I were listening to Operation Ivy one night, and we started joking around about doing a ska punk project. And I said, let's just do it as Bruce Lee Band." That's how quick decisions are made.
That's awesome. If only.
So I like to think of these as sort of kind of combined. They have very similar sounds, like the Community Support EP and the full length. But these are, some of the biggest fan favorites. People love these two records side by side. Mike and Toni, how are you feeling about these two records?
Oh, absolutely. That would definitely rival Beautiful World for me. I think they were both just awesome. When I hadn't heard new Bruce Lee band in friggin' years. And so when those came out, I bought them right away. I have the first pressing of both of them.
I want to say, like, in that year, too, it might have been a tough year for new ska releases in 2014. Because I remember when it came out, it like was head and shoulders above some of the music I was listening to at that time. I'm like, oh, this is wildly good. Like, I'm so glad that people
like
doing
every
that.
song is awesome.
I'll play Miss Me, which off the support EP, which is people love this one.
It's a big hit.
I woke up inside a room. I'd forgotten everything.
I just love that no matter what, Jeff and Bomb the Music Industry can record just incredible ska music.
Yeah, we just saw Jeff the other night here in Buffalo.
Was that a Ska Dream show?
No, it wasn't, but because we were there, he actually played a ska song for us.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that was really nice of him.
The way this whole group works together, though, is pretty amazing. Like, they just kind of all have feel good songs and put them together quickly, and they come out to be amazing with this.
It's
When you effortless.
well, and
Yeah.
there's some more stuff about like later records about how like they'll cram recording sessions into just a couple weeks, if not less, sometimes a few days.
Oh yeah, he was telling me one time on the phone that he was just like, yeah, we kind of write and then we go right into record. I was like, oh shit.
Yeah, there's not a lot of, and there's something about that urgency that I think always speaks to their. I think it's just such a good ethic of writing music, but it also means like no matter what, like I don't know, no matter how older when you get like, because you know like it doesn't slow down. You're just like, okay, I gotta stay fast and stay alive, and that's how you keep things going and staying urgent. And it's amazing. I love it. Sometimes I wish I had that work ethic. I'm maybe too slow. Play Generations here. This, yeah, I love this song.
Jesse Michaels.
Jesse on vocals from Operation Ivy. Oh, there's a new Classics of Love coming out soon. I saw that on Mike's thing. God, I love them.
Yeah, these vocals sound sweet.
Jesse's great. This was the first song I heard when I knew there was new Bruce Lee. I was like, got it.
This is very good.
Skipping right to Generations.
This is very good.
I also want to play The Constant.
There's feelings in that. That's kind of an emo song.
Right?
Yeah, that's definitely an emo song.
Mike's lyrics basically come in like three categories. It's like vicious, political takedowns, introspective, like anxiety-ridden songs, and then like just fists over face like jokes. He's very funny.
It's hilarious.
Yeah. This is one of my all-time favorite Bruce Lee band songs. The hook is outrageous.
That's a good horn line.
So good.
Yeah, it's so good. Just makes you want to I could get up and dance off the couch right now.
It makes you want to go to the trombone store. I mean,
Exactly.
and start a band.
We'll become a
Stores you guys have in
band.
Canada.
Trombone store.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
trombones are us.
awesome. Right next to the poutine store.
Yep. What's the one here? La Poutine is, I think, even what
Yeah,
it's
there
just called.
literally
The Poutine
is a
store.
La Poutine.
Do you guys
Poutine?
have, oh my god, smokes?
Smokes?
Do you have smokes?
Like, I mean, cigarettes.
No, god. The poutine place. No?
Oh, no, I think that might be down east.
Yeah, that's okay.
Not
because
on
it's all
me,
in
Mike.
Ontario.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, not currently.
We'll skip on FedEx overnight.
Yeah.
I was just thinking to myself,
It might be faster to go to the store and
I was just thinking, we like to. It might be faster.
If I want to kill myself, I have knives around here. I can do it faster.
I was just thinking, is that a Canadian thing to call cigarette smokes? Like,
yeah, we
I
call
have to,
cigarette smokes, but is that a thing?
I have to like think about what's a Canadian thing because I forget all the time.
No, in Southern Canada they call them darts.
Yes,
yeah, they do.
They call them darts out here too.
They call them darts out here. For
That's
sure.
Oh yeah, somebody asked me for a dart, and I was like, "What?" I'm like, "No." I'm like, "Maybe in the bar." Like, they don't sell darts in bars. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about?
You're like, it might be faster for you to go to the store and get it yourself.
There's like a pool table store down the road. They probably have darts in there. Get a
That's
pack.
exactly where I was going. Yeah, I was like, what is he talking about?
That is funny though.
Oh, you know what was a thing is lawn darts.
They're
Was that-
illegal.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, they're super illegal.
Jarts.
Everybody I know, like growing up in St. Paul, like everybody had their St. Paul's a town 2 hours northeast of Edmonton, and everybody that I knew growing up had like their stash of lawn darts that they're just like, hey, don't tell anybody I got these, and it's like. It's not illegal for you to own these. It's illegal for people to sell them. So
sell them, yeah.
You're not.
That was a big staple, actually. And like, so a Buffalo thing to do was to get cottages in Fort Erie.
Oh yeah,
which is southern
Around the
Ontario.
Yeah,
and I mean that's just like tons of people in Buffalo did that. But one of the things that comes along with it for some reason was always lawn darts. It was like a big thing, and then there was always like that one kid who threw it too high and stabbed his friend, or
Oh yeah,
100%.
someone gets hurt.
yeah.
I feel out of the loop. What are lawn darts? Because I'm just like envisioning.
She's too
javelins.
young for this. She doesn't understand.
it's like it's got the same kind of rules as like bocce or horseshoes kind of a thing, where it's like you're just like tossing a big dangerous weapon in the air and hoping not to hit somebody.
Oh my god!
There might be rules
they were
to it,
super
but
sharp.
yeah, they were super sharp because they stabbed into the ground, and they were like I don't know, 1.5 feet long. Like they were giant.
Oh my god!
Yeah, and you grabbed it like a lance, like you're about to like joust with somebody, and you fling
Yeah,
it.
they're like super heavy and sharp, aren't they?
Yeah, Celine is currently
I'm on the
Wikipedia for lawn darts.
A lawn dart set usually includes 4 large darts and 2 targets. The gameplay and objective are similar to those of both horseshoes and darts. Oh, so it's like a horseshoe dart combo. You know? Is that what you said already?
Kinda. Yeah, I said horseshoes and bocces, but
Wow, yeah. Oh, it's a weighted end with the
yeah, because it's super
sharp
heavy.
part is
You
weighted.
get
That's
stabbed,
yeah.
like concentrated stabbing.
You're begging
Is
for a
what- is
stab.
Right.
Concentrated stabbing. Yeah, the weighted stab. Yeah, I see why it's not a thing.
Do you have a name for your next album? Because if you don't, concentrated stabbing might be a top contender.
Well, we can replace it. It's not out yet.
There's time.
All right, I need another Time Skachine noise.
Beep. Beep.
All right, sounds kind of like the TARDIS, but
Yeah.
so now we're in.
I was in a place of Dune. I wanted it to be like ominous and spacey.
Oh, okay. Yeah, why not? All right. Low key, I'll
Yeah.
take it.
Lo-fi.
So we're in
I'm like the weekend.
2019. Great. And now we're going to get a riff on the previous lineup. So the big addition at this point is that Dan P is added to the mix. Essentially, the core 4-piece as it is now, and as it's going to basically be for the future, according to Mike, is Mike Park, Jeff Rosenstock, Kevin Higuchi, and Dan P. And they all write and record everything with their various guests coming in and going. So the EP that they released in 2019 is called Rental Eviction. There's a lot of exclamation points. Thematically, this is a little bit different. It focuses more on general anxiety. So definitely from a lyrical standpoint, it's not as like blatantly political. It seems a little bit more internalized. So that makes it definitely stand out a little bit in my eyes. How do you feel about Rental
Generalized
Eviction?
anxiety.
Or that.
Yeah.
One of the. This is actually one of the first albums I remember listening to Bruce Lee Band on. Like maybe I've heard some of the other songs here or there when Mike has it on shuffle in the car or something. But this one he had directly sent me one of the tracks, which was "If I Can Only Listen to My Heart," I believe.
Yeah.
And yeah, I was just listening to this album on repeat when it came out. So very, very familiar, and this EP is very near and dear to my heart for sure.
Oh, that's
Because
awesome.
I'm such a romantic, I send you other people's songs.
Oh, yeah.
It's not wrong. This song is amazing.
Yeah, I
Top
love
tier.
this EP. It's funny, he sent me the video that he did when he was in the Bruce Lee outfit. Have you seen the video?
Yes. I
Yeah,
have seen that
he's
video.
got his
It's great.
torn shirt on, and then we did a music video a couple years ago, and I'm wearing the same shirt.
Oh,
So this is Trying and Stuttering,
Yeah.
which I read that they don't play it live very often because Mike trips up trying to do the lyrics. That's what he said in an interview. But I also appreciate that if you're in a band and you're like, you know what, I don't know if I don't feel like playing this, mostly because I don't want to fuck it up.
I usually just fuck it
Also
up.
kind of ironic. The song, the lyrics,
yeah.
Yeah.
trying and stuttering.
I once. This is a dumb story, and it's not related to ska music. I saw the metal band Blind Guardian play, and they did one of those things where they said what song do you want us to play, and just shouted at the audience, and someone's like Majesty, which is like the first song on their first album, and it's like super speed metal-y, and the guitarist just takes his guitar off and sets it down and walks off the stage. And the lead singer
Like,
Hans
nope,
he
hold
was
on,
like,
nope.
yeah, he's like, oh, Mr. Slow Hands can't play that song anymore.
Mr. Slowhead.
Mr. Slow Hands is like the best burn on like a shreddy guitar player. It's just like, yeah, Mr. Slow Hands can't play that song anymore.
Fair.
Oh, that just brought a smile to my face. What else do you want to think about on rental evictions? Lynn, how about you?
What else do I want to think about?
Yeah.
What do I want to think
What do
about?
you want to think about? And then what do you want to say? First,
What I want to think about is when I'm going to play Pokemon Shining Pearl later after this podcast.
Thinking
and
about-
what I'm going to snack. And this album was good.
you know what? Let's take a beat. What are you going to snack on later?
Well, wow, you're really
Hard-hitting
okay,
questions.
yeah. I don't have a snack yet.
Okay. Yeah, Mike, what are you snacking on?
I actually have to have like food for the first time today after this. I haven't eaten yet.
Oh,
So
nice.
pretty much anything to get my hands on.
Tony, what do you got for snacks?
For snacks, well, I don't know. After this, I'm going to my dad's house. He's making steak for dinner.
Ooh.
It's not really a snack though.
No, but it could be. Anything's a snack as long as you
Right, like-
say it's a snack, right?
Just casually snack on steak.
I just like the idea of just like
That sounds
grabbing it,
great.
like it just like you let it rest for 5 minutes or whatever, and you're just like, all right, peace, and you just grab it and you walk outside, like on your way to your car, you're just like chewing into
Yeah,
it.
you could uncasually snack on a steak. It doesn't have to be casual.
Joey said he likes this segment where we talk about our snacks.
Rob, did you mention what snack?
Salt and vinegar potato chips.
Oh, you piece of shit. You just said that because I love salt and vinegar potato chips.
I did, and I have them, and I will be eating them.
Those are good. That's a good choice though.
Yes.
I'm a late bloomer to salt and vinegars. Celine is a lifelong salt vinegar eater.
I have a salt and vinegar chip like tattoo. It's like the logo on the Old Dutch chips, which is does the States have Old Dutch chips? Maybe some places.
Oh yeah, we have them, but they're definitely not very popular.
Well, okay.
Is that the
I
one
mean,
with the sailboat on the front, or is that? Am I
it's a
thinking something
windmill.
It's a
different?
windmill.
It's
That's
a
Cape
windmill.
Cod.
Oh, okay. I've got my like nautical landmarks incorrect, I guess.
I basically just have like an anthropomorphic salt shaker and vinegar shaker holding hands. We're holding each other. Yeah, and a heart tattooed
That's
on me
awesome.
for my entire life.
Now, what do you guys think of dill pickle chips?
Love dill pickle.
Yep.
Love it. Is that
Me too.
does that exist in the States? Is
Sounds
that a
like it
Canadian
does, yeah.
thing?
No,
It's-
no,
Oh, no, we have
you
it.
know-
no. Canadian thing is ketchup. chips.
Ketchup,
Ketchup
that's
chips
the
are
one.
and all dressed. Ketchup
We
and all
have it
dressed
here
are.
too,
Yeah.
though.
Yeah,
Ooh.
I think
I thought like in like the 90s, 2000s, you can only get them in Canada, and then it must have like leaked into our
Yeah,
market or
it started
something.
coming back
'cause-
over here though.
Yeah, because when I was a kid, my dad used to go shopping across the border, and he'd always bring back dill pickle chips, and it was like the best thing ever.
yeah, they are.
My wife Arianne is a spicy dill pickle fan. That is
Spicy
her chip.
dill pickle.
Her chip of
Miss
choice.
Vicky's.
Ooh.
Yeah, spicy dill pickles.
You
good.
the States has more like nacho-y like corn chips.
Oh, I'm jealous. I like
And
the
less
nacho
potato.
flavor.
I'm
yeah.
allergic to corn. Well, I'm actually allergic to both, but I'm more allergic to corn. So, anyways, what are we talking? Why are we here?
This is our favorite segment. What chip you eating?
What you snacking on?
So I'll just finish by talking about this EP with some quotes here that I thought were amazing. So these are all from Mike. So here's what he said about recording this album or this EP. We went into the studio before rehearsing and we recorded as we learned the songs. So we would learn a song in the studio and it'd be like, okay, let's record it. We did everything in about 2.5 days. We wrote and recorded in 2.5 days and then we mixed it after that. And then about Jeff's sort of work ethic, he said, he's a pretty insane musician. He was playing everything. He did keyboards. Dan did a lot of the guitars, but Jeff did some guitar too. Jeff did all the bass. He played tenor sax and baritone sax. It was pretty insane. And that's without rehearsal. He was jumping from instrument to instrument, just going down the line. And then the last little quote I have here is, this is about whether or not they used auto-tune. And Mike said, I'm like, man, I wish I could auto-tune this. And Jeff's like, nope. And I'm like, okay. And it's hard. The song, If I Could Only Listen to My Heart, I'm peaking like crazy. Like, if I listen to it right now, I cringe. So the thing we know about Jeff is that it's a lot of first takes. It's a lot of, like, let it lie.
Is he like a purist?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
No embellishments. When we talked about Bomb the Music Industry,
Oh, yeah.
that was definitely very clear.
I remember all of that.
That's coming out on Tuesday. Yeah. Well, as of this recording. So yeah, that's kind of a little bit behind the scenes, based on a couple interviews. He said, I've heard this a few times that it was just so fast paced and yeah, not a lot of embellishments on it, which gives it that kind of raw energy, which is so fantastic. And then now we go into 2021. We come to the modern era when another EP comes, and once again, they record the entire EP in 3 days. Because Kevin had traveled to San Jose to see his parents, and that was the only time they had to record. So they just like grabbed him when he came down and just said, okay, we need you for drums, and then just brought him in and he drummed. So that's it. They had a small window of time to do it.
And he drummed.
And Jeff sings Korean on this album, and this is what he had to say about that. Part of me was excited to do it because it feels fresh to sing in a different language, and I thought our pals in Korea might have fun singing along with Mike's vague nonsense phrases, shouted by an idiot with a lot of heart. I think we often look at language as a barrier, but it's actually a window into someone else's reality,
Aw.
and that shit is beautiful to me.
Aw, that is very nice.
So that EP is called Division in the Heartland. It came out this year. How do we all feel about that bad boy?
Rob? I was super pumped.
You were
when
super
the
pumped.
when the first single came out, I was like, this is awesome. Like, I don't know, I just love the punkiness of it and how hard it goes.
Yeah, I think that was the opposite for me, right? When I first heard it, I was just like, I kind of missed the more like mellowy ska feel, but it's definitely grown on me after 15,000 listens.
There was tension in the home over the album.
We had conflicting opinions, but
I think it's driving energy. It is maybe one of the most like focused sort of complete thoughts that they've done, where all 5 of the songs kind of come together in a very cohesive manner, like both lyrically and musically, like more than the rest. Like it's not as much like, let's play this type of ska song, it's kind of like, okay, we're just going to make ska punk and we're just going to make it as fast and furious as possible. And it really delivered on that promise, I think.
Yeah, it was too fast and too furious.
Yeah. Speaking of which, let's listen to that song that Jeff sings in Korean. BLT, the Bruce Lee theme. Stand out for me. I love this song. Damn, that's bad. Everyone's just kind of grooving over here.
There's head bobbing, toe tapping, a gentle sway.
So good.
Yeah, it's a good song.
And then the other song I have queued up is the title track, Division in the Heartland.
A jam, if you will.
A gem?
A jam.
That's a jam.
A banger.
I put this in the category of banger.
I put this in bangers.
Kind of skinheady, stomping. Love it.
Kind of spooky. Ominous.
This is like one of the best lyrical attacks he's got on any song. Amazing.
Yeah.
What a gem.
That was the emo.
You think so?
Well, I mean,
Pretty political.
Very emotional.
What is politics without emotions?
I guess.
There you go.
There you go.
I think Sunny Day Real Estate had that song, Fuck Clinton? I'm kidding. I realized that joke fell so flat.
Yeah, maybe there's someone out there that
I
listens
acknowledge
to this that'll get it.
that are just like-
and they feel seen. So maybe that's important for them.
Or their monocle falls off their face
Some
in horror.
fucking nerd out there.
Some
I'm sorry.
fucking nerd in Edmonton just had the lamest burn on both Bill Clinton and
Yeah.
Sunny Day Real Estate.
I don't think Tony was old enough for Bill Clinton.
Okay, how old is Tony?
Oh, yeah.
Tony?
I'll be 30 this year.
Yeah,
You're old
I'm
enough for-
31. You're.
I'm not
I was
that
like, is Tony?
I like
I'm
it.
not a child.
Mike, are you 29?
I know who Bill Clinton. You're 1 year younger than
Sure.
me. Yeah.
In my mind, you're younger, but you still say she's younger.
No,
It's funny to
I'm
me.
actually 37.
Nice.
Okay, based on that's my
Joey.
partner is also 37.
So is my
Joey,
wife.
Engineer Joey. Yeah.
So is my wife is also 37. 37 club.
Yeah.
And I'm in the middle
All
somewhere.
right.
To play the fun game though, that's like, hey, when I was this old, I was doing this, and I'll be like, yep, I was 5.
I know.
Yeah, Joey,
My
we
favorite.
often play that game as well.
When Ska'd was peaking, I would have been like 10, and I definitely could not get away from my Pokemon, like from like my Game Boy Color, sitting on the, what do you call it, like pavement with those little cords, trying to trade. That's what I was
Oh
doing.
my gosh.
What do you call it? Pavement?
Yeah. What do you call it? Sunny Day Real
Oh my
Estate.
God.
I saw
hope
Pavement.
someone out there can relate to this.
I saw Pavement play
guess.
live one time, and it was the worst show I've ever seen.
Who?
Pavement, the band.
Oh, are they like an indie thing? Right? Yeah.
Yeah. It was why am I blanking the dude's name? It was his birthday, and it was at Sasquatch Festival in Washington, and he just like basically fell off the stage and stopped playing.
Damn.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. Steve Malcolmus. There we go. I know things. All right.
All the hipsters out there.
That takes us to the end. That's the modern day, and as was teased, there might be more in the future, which means we're ready for some trombonist for that, for sure. But any last-minute thoughts? Celine, Bruce Lee Band, do you like it?
You keep like taking it to me as if I have anything really like interesting or important to say about it other than it's good.
Your jokes-
this was good.
your jokes are great.
There's no jokes.
But your
like,
jokes have
for
been
this.
great, I'm saying.
Yeah, it's nice. It's good. It's fun. It's political. It's good. It's a good album. Mike
Nice.
and Tony.
Nice, Celine. That's the pull quote.
Well, I'm going to put this out there like I did when Mike was staying with me on the Alkaline Trio tour. He stayed at my house for the weekend. And I said to him, Mike, I want to play bass with the Bruce Lee Band live. And he said, sure. And I
Ooh.
guarantee you he didn't remember any of that, and he won't remember it, but I'm going to put it out there again.
Are you going to play the upright bass, Mephistopheles style?
Whoa.
You know, I thought about it, but I actually sold my upright bass. I don't have it anymore.
I also sold my upright bass, but the difference between you and I is I never learned to play it.
It was just sitting in my kitchen for like years. I was like, well, shit. And I own like about 5 other like electric basses. So I was like, I
Right.
think I got to get rid of this.
I had like 2 lessons, and I was like, ow! I don't want to build up the calluses needed to like.
Oh,
play
you have,
this.
it's like people tell you build them up. I played it for years in the band,
It
and
still
every night
hurts?
my fingertips still fell off. Yeah. it was
Okay,
horrible.
I was like,
kept
ow!
sweating.
This hurts.
Oh my God. I kept sweating. You sweat.
Yeah.
So when you play, your calluses get soft and they still tear right off.
And you're so slippery on the strings and my weak little
Yeah, it was-
fingers.
Oh, it was bad. I
Anyways.
used to tape them up like Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
Toni, you got any last minute thoughts on BLB?
Yeah, I don't know. I just think everything we listen to is really good, and they're insanely talented. And like, you look at those people and wish that someday you could strive to be to their level, right? So, just really good stuff.
Sometimes
And Toni wants Mike to know that she's going to play saxophone live with the Bruce Lee Band.
Hell yeah. It's happening.
There's already 2 saxophone players. There could be 3.
Why not?
Actually, Dan plays saxophone as well.
Oh my God,
so-
they're all sax players. Everybody but Kevin.
Yeah.
And maybe he does. Maybe he can like play the kick drum and play saxophone at the same time. You know what? I would absolutely watch that if like everybody just had their instruments like on, but they all just had saxophones. That's like, what's that band? Sorry, I'm just like
What are
giggling
you
myself.
talking about now?
No, now I'm getting off track. I'm thinking there's a band that we saw that Too Many Zoos.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And they have the saxophone, the trumpet, and then the guy who plays like just like the little like marching band drum thing.
Yeah, they're fucking sweet.
Yeah, that was anyway, that's a total off track thing. Oh yeah, maybe. All right, so I think that'll wrap up for the Time Skachine for another week. So when we come back after this next break, we're just going to do a couple segments.
Oh, way, oh, what the fuck you doing with your life these days? Oh, way, oh, what the fuck you doing with yourself?
Welcome back to Checkered Past. We're here with Mike and Toni from the Abruptors, and now we're going to play a couple games. So the first game that we're going to play is called Big Five. And this game, the way it works is I go through the most streamed Bruce Lee Band songs on, well, we use YouTube Music because we're cool that way. And it's up to Mike, Toni, and Celine to figure out what those top 5 is. So we're just going to go one by one. We'll go Celine, Toni, Mike in that order.
Mike and Toni.
Yeah. And
Toni and Mike.
yeah, and then so basically you'll just try to guess a song that's on there, and whoever gets the most right, we'll do it Prices Right, or sorry, Family Feud style. So if you get 3 wrong, you're out, and whoever's left standing at the end is the winner. What that make sense?
No, but whatever. We'll
Yeah.
start.
I think
You think so?
I think I'm confused, but
Okay.
I will.
So basically, you're
go
trying to see
for it.
what songs by this band got streamed the most.
Yeah,
And, yeah.
Rob made that sound
okay.
so much
Yeah.
more complicated
I know.
than it was.
Something's going on with my brain. I could not form a cogent sentence at all.
It's just like, are you doing YouTube Music?
Yes.
Yeah, it's just like the most streamed songs on YouTube Music specifically.
Yeah.
Got it,
So
okay.
think from the perspective of someone who has YouTube Music.
Think for i.e. me and Celine.
Yeah, I have it, but I don't recommend me.
All right. So Celine, we'll start with you. Take a guess.
Was the Mister
Miss Me.
Miss Me?
Yes, it's on there. It's number 3. Ding. Good job,
Miss
Celine. You
Me.
got one.
I only know that because it kept coming up at work because I streamed it all week when I was doing hair.
Toni, do you have a guess?
Sorry, we're doing Bruce Lee Band.
Yeah.
Okay. Go Feet Go.
It's not on there.
Ooh.
Interesting.
Yeah, YouTube Music people don't have good taste.
I know, it's so strange. That's why we pick it.
Surprising.
Mike, do you have a guess?
I would say don't sit next to me just because I'm Asian.
You'll never guess. No.
Whoa.
Eh.
Oh,
Wow.
I am
Okay,
shocked.
so this has happened before. It's going to be new stuff because it's like the most
Yeah.
streamed. So it's going to be new.
Oh.
Yeah, this has
So
happened to me
You're
before.
up next, Celine.
I don't remember any songs that are new.
Oh, okay. We just listened to a couple.
Yeah, and I couldn't tell
And
you what
I told you what the names of them were.
It's okay. I have Spotify pulled up and I'm looking at the
Hold
tracks.
on, hold on.
Oh, I
hold
love it.
on.
I
have
love
to
it.
go- I have to
No,
look up
How
the
about
I-
Generation? Is that on there?
I never said that you couldn't.
Give Mike one. This is nonsense. Give it to Mike. He has a guess.
Oh, Mike wants to jump in with a guess. Okay, go ahead.
Is it Generations on there?
No, it's not.
What the fuck?
Mike, you got 2 strikes.
I'm not doing well. I just Googled Bruce Lee Bang, so I'm far away from.
Toni, you have it up on
Jesus.
Spotify. I want to hear. This is going awesome.
Trying and stuttering.
No, it's not on there either. This is fun. So I'm going to give one more. I'm going to give just a quick.
YouTube music.
I'm going to give a quick hint. Rental Eviction and Beautiful World have no songs on there.
Wow.
Okay, Division
Well,
in the
then-
Heartland.
Yes, that's another one for Celine. Division in the Heartland, number 5 most streamed.
That's the song I was trying to think of.
Would BLT?
Yes, BLT
Yeah.
is number
Okay.
1 with a bullet.
Oh.
Yeah. So
Wow.
so number 1 is BLT, number 3 is Miss Me, and number 5 is Division in the Heartland. So we got 2 more. Got any more guesses, Celine?
Sure. I can come up with a couple. You said you hated impressions. You said you hated impressions.
No.
How about Superman?
Yes, Superman is number 4.
Fuck yeah.
There you go. Song 1 from the debut. Now, the number 2 song is insane. And
Yeah, come on.
I am very...
Just give it to us.
You just want it?
Or Mike
Yeah.
and Tony, do you want to try to guess?
Yeah, give it one
No,
more shot.
because I'm guessing all
No.
the wrong shit. It makes me
Yeah.
look stupid.
Yeah.
That's what you brought me on this podcast to do, is make me look like a stupid idiot. You succeeded.
Welcome to my life, Mike. There's a segment called Guess That Horn. And it's literally just there to make me look stupid. So I've been what is it, Robert?
Song number 3, part 2
Okay.
Oh, wow.
from the debut.
That doesn't make any sense.
It makes no sense. I have no idea what data is
I
being
wonder if
pulled.
it's like on a show.
It has to be, right? It has
must
to be
like
on a show or
TV
something.
show or something. Or a
Like-
video game.
Yeah, that's usually what it
Like-
is. It's
yeah,
like-
he had some stuff on like Korean TV shows, I think.
I wonder. That's
Oh.
usually like I feel like when there's like a random song, I'm like, oh, this was featured on something.
Yeah, like Trying and Stuttering is like 20th.
Anyways.
Like Goofy
Wow.
Go's like 15th. They're way down there. Like number 6 on the list here is When You Say It's Okay. And then Proud.
Wow.
I feel like we should probably
But you're
switch
you're
to
also
Spotify.
using YouTube music, you said, right?
Yeah,
which
we
is
should
just
probably
bananas.
switch to Spotify. But
No,
I think
it's
it
so
makes
fun
it
because it's
more
so weird.
interesting.
Like, because this used to be the Google Play music, right? They rebranded it.
Oh, right.
And so, but it's just got the most, like, I don't know who uses it. And it has the most bananas top 5. It never makes any sense. But anyway, that was Big 5. So the next
what
segment,
fun we all had.
I had fun, and that's important. Now for our next segment, Ska'd died in 1999 in glorious battle and was risen by the Valkyries to the great halls of Skalhalla. This is Ska Sucks. So I have a review pulled up here about the Bruce Lee band from All Music. And I said I had it
Which
pulled
it
up,
was
so
not
it's-
easy to find anything negative.
Yeah, let's say this. People like Bruce Lee band and people like Mike Park. There's not a lot of bad news stories
There's a
out
lot
there.
of positivity, which is nice.
This is 1.5
Yeah, you're not going to
stars.
find much negativity.
No,
the only
it
thing
was-
you'll get is you'll get a stupid idiot who didn't get his order within 2 days. That's the
Oh,
only
yeah.
bad review you'll ever get from Mike.
Well,
Park.
get ready for a stupid idiot.
Oh no!
So this is a 1.5 star review of the Bruce Lee band, the debut from somebody from an All Music editor, and it says, the Bruce Lee band seems to exist as a self-indulgent outlet for Asian Man Records owner Mike Park's misguided creative impulses.
Whoa.
Between forced political commentaries like Stand Up for Justice, poorly barked vocals, and a somewhat less than competent rhythm section, which is less than Jake, this is a record that should probably have stayed in Park's basement where it belongs.
Whoa!
Whoa.
Who's jealous of Mike Park?
That's fucking harsh.
So harsh.
Yes.
I want to know where his 1 star is even then.
How is it forced? How is it forced political commentary?
Yeah, this is harsh. This would have been contemporaneous with its release too.
So spicy.
So
Oh.
spicy.
Mike Park, did you take this guy's girlfriend?
What do you got?
Turns out he
Celine?
was married to Spike. You know.
That's right. Hey, Canada. That song has Canada. Anyway.
I don't have anything. I showed you what I had. Did you
Oh.
want me to put?
Yeah, I thought you were
going
gonna
to
talk about those.
Do you want me to pull up what I showed you?
No, I have another one that was just from that
I was
website.
thinking of a funny surprise segment
Were you?
for Joey. Just called Joey Plays the Melodica. Like put him on the spot.
Oh.
He has to play Melodica. No,
That might go on
play
a bonus
Baby
episode.
Elephant. The Elephant Walk.
Practice enough.
You haven't. No, but the point is sucking. I make an ass. Sorry, that was loud. I make an ass out of myself on the podcast every single episode. And you just to be cool engineer Joey.
Joey is
Mysterious
bizarrely
and
popular amongst.
Yeah, everyone's like, we love engineer Joey. He's just there. This is my partner of 8 years, by the way. I love him very much.
So you know what? We'll cut the segment there, and then we'll just go to the next one, which is to go to social media for questions. So, Mike and Toni, these will mostly be directed at you. I'm warning you, the questions we get are stupid, and so these are going to be really fun. So,
All right.
Someone named. I encourage people to give us stupid questions. So, someone named Polite Rude Boy on Twitter said, "Chocolate milk, shaken or stirred?"
Shaken.
Can I pick not at all?
Oh, what about chocolate oat milk?
No, I don't like any milk. Milk is gross.
Even milk alternatives like oat milk or almond milk?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't like cereal. I don't like any of that kind of stuff.
So it's canon that Mike has no soul. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Based on your Toni? Milk?
Shaken. Yeah, I like milk. Milk is good.
Can I just say, and I'm going to feel, this is where I feel stupid. I don't understand this question. What does that mean? Shaken or stirred?
Well, they recommend shaking nut milks and oat milks before opening.
Okay.
Specifically chocolate. So my favorite way to have any sort of milk is a chocolate oat milk in a little box. It's nice and cold. You give it a good solid shake. What? Joey?
Randy's milk.
Okay, go on, Mike. I don't know what you're
Joey's
talking
got
about.
something.
A friend of ours, he has a weird thing with chocolate milk. He loves it, and he'll go into a restaurant. And
Dairy milk, right?
With dairy milk.
Blah.
He will ask them what kind of chocolate milk that they have, and he will only drink the kind of chocolate milk that is already chocolate milk. Like if they make chocolate milk either with syrup or powder or whatever, he will not drink it. He only wants the stuff that comes in the carton as chocolate milk. He's very specific about it, and he is a mid-30s man.
So then stirred chocolate milk would mean your powders and your syrups.
I assume so.
Or I'd say classic. Or just classic.
Okay. I don't know if I have an opinion on this.
Technique on how
Technique. Interesting. So, Chip
Was it?
at El Normie, who makes all the memes about our podcast, he wrote, "Who would win in a fight, the Skanking Pickle or Mr. Peanut?"
Skanking Pickle has a bigger butt.
Yeah, Skink and Pickle because he's really active, and Mr. Peanut just looks like a bitch.
Yeah, he does look like a little bitch.
Yeah, there's an age
He's
difference
cracking
too.
too, real easily.
He's too floppy. The crack is good point.
Didn't Mr. Peanut die recently?
Oh yeah, and it's like
Isn't
a
that
lady
canon?
peanut.
Born as Baby Nut.
Baby nut. Baby nut.
So, there's an empiric victory for the Skank and Pickle because he's still alive. It's like a flying hellfish situation.
Also, if there's a baby nut, he can beat a baby.
And somehow he's turned into Skanking Pickle Rick, so.
Oh yeah, now that's the whole thing.
So
What are you doing? Celine is Googling something.
I want to know why they killed Mr. Peanut.
That's
Because he was
so
a
many
bitch.
questions.
We already said this.
it said Mr. Peanut, Planter's icon, dies in tragic accident, but it's a 5-minute YouTube video.
Yeah, because it was a video. That's
Mr. Peanut death.
that's dark. Why is that how it's
Yeah.
coded?
Mr. Peanut is dead for some reason. CNN.
CNN. Hard-hitting
That's what I'm looking
journalism
at
from
now,
CNN. Is that Wolf Blitzer?
It says in a
He's
preview
from
of the ad,
Buffalo.
What was that,
it says
Toni?
Mr. Peanut appears to save actors Wesley Snipes and Matt Walsh after the Nutmobile veers off a cliff.
You know what?
And that's how he dies.
Matt Walsh is a UCB4 original. So that's a
In
good
the
one.
ultimate selfless act, he sacrificed himself to save his friends when they needed him most.
What? This should just be our whole podcast. Is this? And
My
then
favorite CNN quote is, "Since absolutely nothing makes sense, all the cookies, snack foods, and other residents of sentient brand land mourn the peanuts passing on Twitter."
what is happening at CNN?
I don't know. Something was slow news day or something.
That Chiron has just got to be active all the time. Like, it just doesn't matter. Okay, the last question that was posted to us is from my wife, and it says, what's got higher speculative investment for the future, DVDs you bought in the 2000s or Beanie Babies?
Beanie Babies.
Beanie Babies.
Yeah.
So we're saying that Beanie Babies have current market value, or there's more value for them in the future?
Both.
I think both.
Thank you, Tony.
There is like a thing. It's kind of like NFTs are kind of this way too, with some of them where people will post prices of Beanie Babies, but there is no actual active market for it.
Good call. We got to make some NFTs of Beanie Babies. Checking past the NFT.
Oh, like it's gonna have like lasers coming out of its eyes, and I guess a trombone or something. There is a Ska'd NFT. That is a thing.
I guess NFTs are bad for the environment.
Correct.
Because it's like server farms.
Yes.
So, because they're
You have to-
always going to have to exist. So, there always has to be like a server for it to exist.
Yeah,
right?
and, like,
So
mining
it's just
the-
like storage. That's crazy. Anyways, the NFT podcast.
I really like what a minefield that would be.
Yeah.
I feel like I would have nothing to talk about, and I would just be like dunking on the weird ones that I see that are just like Pepe the Frog smoking weed and stuff like that. Like
Worth $20,000.
yeah, it's like 50
20,000
Ethereum
crypto.
or something. Yeah, and it's like $150,000.
45,000 Shiba Inu.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have a dog in this hunt. People are very passionate about it
Crypto.
too. That also worries me is whenever people get too passionate and I don't have anything to say. Anyway, what was the question? Oh, I had a thought that DVDs basically have no value anymore. I think that's where that question came from, me and Arianne talking about it. But that's tough. Mike, what do you think?
Was she settling an argument?
Yeah,
What's
maybe.
that?
I was just thinking, what do you think it's DVDs or Beanie Babies that have more value?
I'm still pondering that question because I'm not sure how to answer it. They're probably both worthless. To me, DVDs, just because I, for some godforsaken reason, still buy them.
Oh, a personal value. That's a good way to look at it.
That's right.
Yeah. Beanie Babies, I think I have 2 in the house, and I gave one to my cat. So
You
it's
know,
a Siamese cat, and she plays with it, and she's a Siamese cat.
Oh, I
So-
love that. I love getting stuffed animals that are your animal, and you're like, that's hilarious. This is you.
Yeah. Well, then
You-
she kicks the shit out of it, which is even
Yeah.
better. So.
Personally, what has more value to me? Beanie Babies. They're cute and soft. I can't cuddle a DVD.
the good news with Beanie Babies is that they're relatively inexpensive to purchase in like nowadays. Ty seems to be around. They were a punching bag for so long that they still just crank out Beanie Babies. And like nobody's making Furbies and nobody's making Pogs, except for Hans Gruber and the Diehards apparently. But you know, Beanie Babies still around. Joey, any last minute thoughts on
Oh my
that?
God, no! Don't.
Joey gave
Why
a
are you
big thumbs up.
Speaking of, I know PETA doesn't like these expressions, but you're kicking a dead horse. Have you seen those memes from PETA or
I don't
like advertisements?
like to see things from PETA.
But
They
they're
go
just
too
like,
hard.
oh, like think of other ways, like the expressions that like promote animal abuse. So like kicking a dead horse. There's like alternative phrases because that's like, yeah. I'm not saying I agree with it. Like I don't think me saying you're kicking a dead horse is gonna make me want to go kick some dead horses.
Also, the saying is
Kill
flogging
some
a dead
horses
horse.
So I have some dead horses to kick. Flogging?
It's flogging a dead horse
What do
is
you
the
mean?
saying.
No, kicking a dead horse is a thing.
Well, I'm just saying there's that no,
Flogging
yes, because that
sounds sexual.
No effects song "Flossing a Dead Horse," which is a ska song. Back to the podcast, is a pun on flogging a dead horse.
Yeah, but okay, Tony and Mike, is kicking a dead horse a phrase?
Usually here we say there's no reason to beat a horse to death.
Like
I
it's
thought it was
beating a dead
beating
horse.
a dead horse.
beating
Yeah.
a dead horse.
Yeah, I
think
said
it's-
that to an ex-bandmate once about his wife, and
Oh.
we're not in a band together anymore. So
So that's how that ended.
And that's also how this podcast is ending.
This podcast is ending on a pile of horse corpses.
Oh, yikes.
I'm sorry.
They all use the Ska'd time machine.
Yeah.
Yeah, they passed away trying to travel in the future. The Time Skachine.
The Time Skachine only goes backwards. That was their first mistake.
Yeah, that was their first mistake. It only goes into the past. Horse. That was me trying to convince the horse not to go to the future.
Well, thanks for listening to Checkered Past. Hit us up on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and TikTok at Checkered Past Pod, or send us an email at checkeredpastpod@gmail.com. Please like, subscribe, tell your friends, rate us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts. Checkered Past is edited by Arianne and engineered by Joey, who also now creates a weekly Spotify playlist featuring the music that we played on today's episode. Mike and Toni, thanks so much for joining us today. I'm going to throw it over to you to do some plugs.
Well, thank you so much for having us. We really appreciate it. Definitely check us out if you like us at Asian Man Records, or you can find us on Facebook, just under the Abruptors. We're the only ones there. Twitter, Instagram, it's all the same. We got a new album coming out in 2022 through Asian Man Records, so keep a watch for that too.
And I like to ask this question, but if people want to give you money, where do you get the most money?
Bandcamp.
Love it. It seems to be the...
Like, yeah, you can just purchase whatever through there, and that's,
Directly
we shouldn't get
from
anything
us,
for free.
and
So
yeah.
That's awesome. Toni, anything else to plug?
No, thank you guys for listening.
That's
That's all I got.
You're welcome, Toni. Thank you
very
for dealing with our hot nonsense.
That's
It
how
was
we
a
should...
pleasure.
Yeah, always a pleasure.
That's really how we should be ending these, is thanks for dealing with our hot nonsense.
Yeah. It's hot, though.
And until next time, I'm Rob.
And I'm Celine.
And in the immortal words of Bruce Lee Band, the system is shattered, power lines crossed and tattered. Deny all the problems before being battered.
Ooh.